What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Uprise Postgame show. Blazers ended up losing in Milwaukee tonight. I don't remember what the final score was, but it was actually a game that had some positives on the Blazers' end. I'll get into some of the things that I really liked. I'll also point out the negatives, which are some of the same negatives that we've had in games past. Lack of defense and a severe lack of rebounding. We could not get a rebound down the stretch. I might have Eric Brandt tune in at some point. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, if we have him call in, then I'll bring him on the broadcast. But overall, considering the guys we were missing, we were without Hassan Whiteside, we were without Damian Lillard. We kept it competitive. This is a great Milwaukee team, and I did not expect this game to be as close as it was. The spread was 11.5 points. Blazers lost, I think, by like 6 or 8 points. We were competitive, and that's what I was hoping for tonight. I already assumed that we were going to lose this game, and we actually had a chance. CJ McCollum had a three that if that went in, there was a three with like 7 minutes left, we would have been up in the fourth quarter in Milwaukee without Damian Lillard, Hassan Whiteside, Yusuf Nurkic. That would have been impressive. There was some huge performances tonight. Giannis had let me look up the box score here. My stuff's being slow. I'll read off some stats. I'll read off some team stats, and then we can talk about specific players, specific things. So for the Bucks in their 137-129 win, Giannis had 24 points, 19 rebounds, 15 assists. Absolutely filled the box score, but he was only 9 for 27 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. He also had 5 turnovers, so although the points, rebounds, and assists are very impressive, he wasn't efficient tonight. We did a solid job on him. It was the other guys that really hurt us. Eric Bledsoe had 30 points on 11 for 21 shooting. He's been a Blazer killer in years past. Dante DiVincenzo had 16 points on 7 for 15 shooting. Pat Connaughton, former Blazer, Patty Fastball, 18 points in 22 minutes on 7 for 10 shooting. He looks like a different player than the guy he was in Portland, and Connaughton had a very impressive game, had multiple dunks, showed off his athleticism. We all know that dude can jump. Also hit 2 for 3 from 3. They filled up the bucket offensively, and when they did miss, we couldn't corral a defensive rebound. They shot 47% from the field, 37% from 3. We actually shot better from both the field and 3. We shot 48% from the field and 43% from 3, but could not get the win. For us, we had CJ McCollum with 37 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds, 15 for 29 shooting, 5 for 10 from three-point line. He had to shoot a lot of shots, but he shot over 50% from the field, so that's impressive, given the volume of shots that he was taking. He was hot early, kind of struggled a bit late, forced some tough shots, but overall very good game from CJ McCollum. Carmelo Anthony had 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists, so that's a good stat line for Carmelo in his second game. Still not quite the efficiency that we want, 6 for 15 from the field, but he was 3 for 5 from 3, so if he's able to knock down 3-point shots like that, playing next to Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, that would be a huge help for our backcourt. I just hope he can get that mid-range game going a little bit more and knock down a higher percentage of shots, but I am feeling a bit optimistic about Carmelo Anthony, especially compared to the fact that Anthony Tolliver is still absolutely awful, and I'll get into that as well. Skal Labissière was absolutely terrific, and I was wondering why he wasn't shooting 3-point jump shots early on this season. This dude has a super smooth stroke. This dude is a good shooter. He knocked down many mid-range jumpers. He was 2 for 4 from 3, 22 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, also had 5 blocks. So Skal was terrific, man. This was one of the best games of Skal's career. This is the type of Skal Labissière we need. I love seeing him play with confidence, and he didn't really play with the same level of confidence early on this season. He was passing up these mid-range shots that he was knocking down. He was passing up threes. Tonight, he was just letting them fly, and he was knocking them down. If we can get Skal playing with this level of confidence, he can be a really helpful player for us as a stretch 5. He was out there getting boards, didn't really have much help. We'll get into that as well. Nasir Little, 12 points, 3 for 5 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. Nasir Little had another good outing. I really liked what he did off the bench. Gary Trent Jr. also had a solid outing, 5 for 7 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3. This is really Gary Trent Jr.'s first good NBA game. He had 18 points or something like that on the last night of the regular season last year, but I don't think he shot over 50%. It wasn't a great game from Gary Trent, but this was a solid game. He was also quite effective defensively. One of our few effective players defensively. I think he was doing a solid job. There was a couple plays where he slipped, where he fell, but other than that, Gary Trent Jr. had an impressive game. He was much better than Kent Bazemore. I would have rather seen us finish the game with Gary Trent Jr. instead of with Kent Bazemore. Shout out to Jason Lee for the $2 donation. It wasn't an embarrassment. I'll take it. Greatly appreciate the donation. If you guys want to donate to the Uprise Postgame show, if you guys want to donate, there are links in the description. $10 a month or more on Patreon will get you the opportunity to guest on an Uprise Postgame show, or you can guest on an Uprise podcast. $25 a month or more, and I'll give you the opportunity to guest in a mailbag, guest in a couple other videos, as well as the live stuff that we do here. So those links are in the description. There's also a PayPal link if you guys want to donate through there. But back to the stat lines. Kent Bazemore and Anthony Simons both struggled off the bench. They combined to shoot 3 for 17. Kent Bazemore did have 6 assists, but 1 for 8 from Kent Bazemore, 2 for 9 from Anthony Simons. Kent Bazemore, man, we'll have to get into this as well after I am done summarizing the stat line, the box score. I'll have to get to his shot selection and his play because Kent Bazemore is really starting to frustrate me. Anthony got some decent shots. Looked like he was rushing his shot a bit. Just didn't knock him down, and he'll have games like that. So I don't know. Anyway, Rodney Hood 5 for 5 from the field, 11 points in 30 minutes. I would have liked to see Rodney Hood get more shots. It's just kind of interesting to see that Rodney Hood has 5 shots in 30 minutes, and Kent Bazemore has 8 shots in 18 minutes. And Kent Bazemore was 1 for 8. Rodney Hood's 5 for 5. Rodney Hood's been so efficient this year. We need to get him more looks. We need to run more sets for him. We need to run more stuff for him. There's no reason that Kent Bazemore should be shooting 3 more shots than Rodney Hood in 12 less minutes when Rodney Hood's making everything and Kent Bazemore's missing everything. That was definitely something that bothered me. Mario Hezonja, 10 minutes, didn't score. Only 1 rebound. Mario Hezonja's rebounding has been terrible. He does not get contested rebounds. His rebounding stats don't look terrible. He gets a lot of the rebounds that trickle out, to the corner, stuff like that trickle out to him. The reason why he gets those rebounds is because he's usually not boxing out inside. He's usually not crashing the boards. His rebound, he doesn't give any effort on the boards, and it's very, very frustrating. You think a guy playing for his NBA career right now would give effort on the boards, and he doesn't do it. He's a big reason why we gave up. Let me see here. We gave up 18 offensive rebounds to the Milwaukee Bucks, and he's a big reason why rebounding has been a severe issue, and we need to fix that. We need to clear that up. Tolliver and Hezonja, both those guys are horrible rebounders for their position. So that's the thing. Scal's not a great rebounder, but Scal had 12 rebounds tonight in 28 minutes. Scal was putting work in on the boards himself. Even CJ, 6 rebounds, second most on the team. He did play 38 minutes, but just the lack of boxing out, the lack of effort on the boards. Multiple times we got one Milwaukee Buck going up and grabbing a rebound between 3 trailblazers that just aren't attacking the ball hard enough. It's just this hasn't been a problem for the past few years. Right now it's a severe problem. We need to rebound the ball better because that's the thing is we're struggling defensively right now. When we do make a miss, when we do make an opponent miss, we got to go get that board. Because it was almost like whenever Milwaukee actually missed a shot, they'd get the ball right back. That's the big reason why we gave up 137 points, because we did outshoot them from the field and from the three-point line. As a team, we did have 32 assists. That's a season high. We did move the ball well, but a lot of those assists also came off of us shooting 43% from 3. Three-point percentage will affect assists. I think the ball movement could have actually still been a little bit better. A lot of those assists came off of trail threes. Carmelo hit a trail 3. Labissiere hit some trailing jump shots, mid-range and 3-point. So a lot of that was just one possession, and we were actually knocking down shots. So that registers an assist, but it's not necessarily great ball movement. I'm not saying those shots are bad at all. I'm just saying it wasn't like we had a lot of possessions where we'd have quick ball movement with the ball touching multiple guys' hands and us getting good buckets that way. Although it has been an improvement over games prior. So that's the thing. That's one of the positives from tonight, and this segues into some of the positive things I saw. Offensively, it was our best offensive night of the season, which is interesting because we didn't have Damian Lillard. We also didn't have Hassan Whiteside. But CJ, 10 assists, 37 points. CJ played a good game. Made a lot of good passes, set up Scal multiple times. CJ was very, very solid. Scal, man, Scal, that jumper, he needs to shoot these jumpers, man, because he's getting open shots, mid-range, three-point land. As a short roller, him rolling to the free throw line, that's a good shot for him. He's good at that shot. I'd rather see him shoot that than try and get in closer and shoot a little like contested 5-foot floater. I'd rather see him shoot the open 15-foot jump shot. That's what he was doing tonight. That's why he had a great night and was efficient. Those 3-point shots too, they were giving them to Scal. He hadn't made a 3 all season, which is crazy to me. You got guys like Tolliver jacking up a bunch of 3s. You got Hazonia jacking up 3s. Those guys aren't hitting 3s efficiently. Meanwhile, Scal Labissiere is a better shooter than those guys, in my opinion. And he finally made his first 3 of the season tonight because he hasn't really been shooting them. So it was nice to see him get some 3-point jump shots up. As far as Carmelo goes, I don't know, man. His 3-point shot looks good, and he's shooting with confidence. Also had 4 assists tonight. So I don't really remember the specific assists, but 4 assists for Carmelo, that's a good night. You'll take that. He didn't really hurt our ball movement, and the ball was moving better. So that is encouraging for me. His defense, I also don't think was horrible either. I mean, in the way where he didn't stand out to me as a problem on the defensive end. You know what I mean? I wasn't really watching him during the game defensively. I wasn't focusing on only him, but his defense didn't really stand out to me. And if Carmelo Anthony's defense doesn't stand out, that's probably a good thing. So hopefully, he can make 8 for 15 from the field instead of 6 for 15. But overall, it was a solid game from Carmelo. He was a -1. He was a -1 in 29 minutes. So that's promising, in my opinion. So yeah, I'll tune back into the chat here. I've been looking at the box score. Give me your opinions from tonight's game. Give me your questions. I have a pretty good feeling right now because I did not expect us to be competitive, and there were some positive signs out of that game. There were some positive signs, and now our schedule lightens up. Hopefully we get Dame back against Cleveland, and hopefully he's fresh. I gotta take a call right now. Give me a sec. Leave me your questions. And that's the thing. We were playing against one of the best teams in the league. That's a top 3 team in the league. And we had chances down the stretch. That would have been a huge win, man. I would have been ecstatic to get that win. But we're 5-11 now. I've kind of been considering our record as 5-11 for the past day, assuming we were going to lose this game. I said that on the podcast yesterday. And yeah. The stream is a little bit more delayed than usual. I forgot to change that setting, so we're just going to have to make do with that. But yeah, as Caleb Jackson's saying, it was a fun game to watch, something Portland hasn't been all season. That was a fun loss, which is rare. That was a fun loss. It wasn't a loss like the Pelicans game. It wasn't a loss like, some of the bad losses we have earlier this season. That was a game that I expected us to lose. And now, 16 games into the season, that's about what? A little under 20% of our season? That's a little under 1/5 of our season. You know what I mean? This has been a small portion of the season. We're 5-11. Our schedule lightens up. We got Cleveland, Chicago, Oklahoma City, Chicago. I forget who we play after that. But games we should win. Hopefully Dame comes back and is fresh. Dame should be fresh. And hopefully playing like he was earlier this season. The thing is, when Dame was on fire earlier this season, CJ McCollum was struggling, but CJ McCollum has definitely broken out of his slump. CJ McCollum is playing good basketball right now. His passing has improved. I want to see his assists per game right now because that's the thing. CJ's starting to make the right passes, which has been my biggest complaint of his. So those guys get going at the same time with an easier schedule. We're going to start winning a lot of these games, especially since we're going against lesser opponents. Scal, hopefully this gets him going. Hopefully he starts shooting a little bit more, shooting some of these jump shots because I think his stroke is smooth, man. I think he's a good shooter, and hopefully this is just like a confidence boost for Scal and hopefully he's able to turn this into multiple good performances down the road. That's another one of those bright spots. Melo's going to help this team. When you look at what Hezonja and Tolliver are doing, Melo is a better rebounder than both those guys. Rebounding has been a big issue. Melo is a better rebounder. As far as offensively, I don't see how Melo's any worse. Hezonja was a non-factor, 10 minutes, no points. Tolliver was awful, man. Tolliver still can't buy a three-point shot. He was 2 for 6 tonight, 33%. The thing is, you see 2 for 6 for Tolliver from 3, and that's a good shooting night for Anthony Tolliver. That's 33%. That's 33%. If that's a good shooting night for Anthony Tolliver, that just shows like how, you know what I mean? I don't expect him to shoot much better than that. He was 3 for 9 from the field. Had a horrible turnover, which led to 2 points the other way for Eric Bledsoe, where he jumped on a pull-up 3 that was contested and then tried to kick it out and just threw it down towards the other end. That was a brutal play. That was a ridiculous play. I also don't understand why Nasir Little didn't play down the stretch. He was 3 for 5 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Nasir Little starting to knock down threes. Also hit 5 for 6 from the free throw line, which is an improvement over how he was shooting free throws the past few games. So Nasir Little's improving game in, game out. And he's learning. There was a play where he was on a fast break down the lane, and I think the game prior or 2 games before that, he charged right into somebody. And I think he learned from that play a couple games ago, because there was a very similar play in tonight's game where Nasir Little ended up changing direction, moving around the defender. He was ready for the defender to try and draw the charge, and he ended up getting to the free throw line and then knocked down both of his free throws. So Nasir Little is improving game by game. I just don't understand why Anthony Tolliver played 31 minutes and Nasir Little played 17 minutes. Makes absolutely 0 sense. 0 sense whatsoever. I thought Terry figured this out. And it's not like Nasir Little was in foul trouble. He had 1 foul. I thought Terry figured this out, but Tolliver played 31 minutes tonight. Nasir Little played 17 minutes tonight. I think if you flip those and Tolliver played 17 minutes and Nasir Little played 31 minutes, we might have won this game. But I'm not here to be negative after this game, because there's a lot of positives from this. Is chat frozen? Chat's frozen for me. Unless none of you guys have said anything in 5 minutes. Yeah, chat was frozen for me. So, apologies if I missed chat. It was frozen from like 5 minutes ago. But, yeah, man. Positive game. Now, hopefully, we can rattle off some wins. Hopefully, that's the end of, like, this really, really bad stretch. I'm feeling pretty positive right now. Feeling pretty good. So I'm reading through comment section. Bruce Davis, hey Tori, that was a good game. Blazers played good tonight. They did play well. Hopefully they can improve the defense. Hopefully they can improve the rebounding, because those 2 aspects still a lot of room for improvement. But offensively, it was the best game of the season, even though we lost. Scout was like a negative 15 though, but it wasn't Scout's fault. He was playing with Kent Bazemore, who was 1 for 8. He was playing with Anthony Simons, who was 2 for 9. It was the guys around Scout, because Scout played great tonight. That's plus minus. You can't use plus minus by itself to gauge a player's performance. Sometimes plus minus will be reflective of how that player performed. You know, if Dame drops 60, he's probably going to have a better plus minus than some other guys who aren't on the court with Dame, but a lot of times plus minus isn't reflective of how a player played, how well they affected the team, because you got 5 players on the court. You know what I mean? So as a player, you're only 20% of the team on the court. So that's the thing. You have to provide the proper context with plus minus. So Scout was a negative 15, but it wasn't his fault at all. Do you think the Blazers are going to extend Carmelo Anthony's contract? I think he'll be with the team throughout the season. No reason not to. Now we only have 14 players on the roster anyway. Carmelo's going to be here past the date where his contract becomes guaranteed. Carmelo looks a little bit better than I expected. little bit better than I expected. Carmelo looks solid. So anyway, send me your guys' questions if you have them. As I said, there's about... Maybe I can change the delay on this. I think there's about like a 20-second delay. I can't change it now that we're live, but... ET or Baze? Baze has been rough, man. A lot of Baze's decision making, man. I like Baze more than ET. Let me raise my chair a little bit. 1 second. Oh, can't go up any higher. Let me move the camera down slightly. Alright. So Bazemore. His decision making is a problem. The dude plays with energy. The dude is a good defender. He's a better defender than Evan Turner was. He is a better player than Evan Turner. But his decision making on some of the drives that he makes and some of the jump shots that he takes, it's a problem. Dante Nero, he's trying to do too much. Exactly. He's trying to do way too much. He had a drive tonight where he drove right at a defender and tried to chuck up some weird little like layup from behind his head. And it was like, Bazemore, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? He shoots quick threes that are contested even though he's not a great three-point shooter. Just a lot of his decision-making offensively is fixable. But it's been a problem all season long, and it hasn't showed signs of improvement. Stotts needs to hold Bazemore more accountable, in my opinion. Though these quick contested threes with 18 on the shot clock are not good shots. They're not good shots. These contested 17, 18-foot mid-range shots aren't good shots unless there's 5 seconds on the clock for a guy like Kent Bazemore, because Kent Bazemore is not a good mid-range shooter. He's able to knock down a few because he shoots a lot of them, but he's not a particularly good mid-range shooter, and a lot of times he's settling for these mid-range shots. It's just frustrating because if Bazemore just let the game come to him and if he just had better decision-making offensively, he would be a helpful player. He's a good guy, a good person to have in the locker room, plays with energy defensively, is a good defender, plays hard. So it's like, the thing is he's not even necessarily a bad shooter. A lot of it is shot selection. He's not shooting a great percentage from the field or from three-point land this year, but it's not necessarily because he's like Evan Turner where he can't shoot. A lot of it is just he's taking bad shots. And if he just improved his decision-making, picking his spots when he drove, driving with more control, and then didn't take as many bad jump shots, he would be a helpful player. But right now, his offensive game is very, very frustrating to watch, and it's not helping the team. Thing is, he can pass, too. He had 6 assists tonight. But yeah, he still forced some bad shots, even though if he just let the offense come to him, he would be more of a help. So that's where I'm at on Kent Bazemore right now. As I said, him taking 8 shots and Rodney Hood only taking 5 shots is a little bit ridiculous. Shane Hasser, I think Trent has really improved defensively. Trent showed some life this game, man. Trent had a solid game. This was Trent's best game. Trent was a better player than Kent Bazemore in this game, in my opinion, man. Trent knocked down shots, and he was shooting with confidence. He was shooting, I don't know. In Summer League, he got hot, knocked down shots. But in NBA games, for whatever reason, it just didn't seem like he was shooting with enough confidence, like he was shooting nervous. Tonight was the first game where I felt like Gary Trent Jr. wasn't shooting nervous, where he was just shooting with some confidence. I had more confidence in his shot. I don't know what it was. It's just the feel I got with him shooting was a little bit different tonight. I don't know if anybody else relates to that, but that's how I'd explain it. It just seems like he was more confident in his shot. Also, wasn't really forcing shots. You know what I mean? Like Gary Trent Jr. has had a history of forcing some tough shots when he gets in games, and he just kind of let the game come to him. He did what Kent Bazemore should be doing. The thing is, Gary Trent Jr. is a second-year player who's barely played. Meanwhile, Kent Bazemore is a veteran. If anybody should be playing under control, it should be Kent Bazemore, not Gary Trent Jr. But tonight, it was Gary Trent Jr. Thoughts on Whiteside? What specifically about Whiteside? I will say this. I will say this about Whiteside. Him being out wasn't why our ball movement was better tonight, because I saw some people tweeting about it. Correlation does not equal causation. And what that means is just because, for example, Whiteside is out tonight, Blazers set a season high in assists. That doesn't mean that Whiteside being out helped the Blazers set a season high in assists. Scow hitting shots did help them get more assists, compared to a guy like Whiteside. But the bench in the second half moved the ball really, really well. Got some assists. That wasn't because of Whiteside. Whiteside doesn't play with the bench. CJ McCollum made some really good passes tonight that he doesn't normally make. That wasn't because Whiteside was out. That was because CJ made the right decisions in terms of passing the ball. We hit a lot of jump shots. We shot 43% from the three-point line. Having Hassan Whiteside out didn't help us make more jump shots. You know what I'm saying? So I was in a discussion with somebody on Twitter, and there was another reason. There's another reason that I pointed to, but like a lot of these possessions too were a guy trailing in one pass, and Melo hit a trail three after getting that rebound where he cussed out Giannis when he grabbed the board. Skal Labissiere hit a couple trail mid-range jump shots. You know what I mean? That's not even necessarily great ball movement. That's bringing the ball down the court, one pass, and shooting a jump shot, and knocking them down more than we have in the past. So that's the thing. It was also a fast-paced game. That too. We got off. Let me go back to the box score here. We got off 103 shots tonight. Part of that is we didn't shoot many free throws. We only shot 14 free throws. We got off 103 shots. So that's usually we get off 90 to 95 shots. So we got off more shots. That helps. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of little things that add up here. And it's not due to Whiteside. I think people like to make Whiteside the scapegoat for things that aren't actually Whiteside's fault. And I think I saw people saying that Portland sets a season high in assists because Whiteside's out. Whiteside hurts our ball movement. Whiteside hurts our assist totals. He hurts the flow of the offense. And they're just using tonight as the reason for that. But as I said, correlation doesn't equal causation. Having Hassan Whiteside out isn't the reason why we set a season high in assists tonight. How is Little doing? Little's doing great. Little has been one of the biggest bright spots of the season, maybe the biggest bright spot this season. I didn't expect him to play, and let alone play effectively. And right now he's been an effective player. His efficiency is rising. He's looking a little bit more comfortable shooting three-point shots. He was 2 for 2 last game. He was 1 for 2 tonight. His rebounding is solid. He only had 1 rebound tonight, but when he's on the floor, he goes after rebounds hard, and even if he doesn't get the rebound, he helps the team get rebounds because he requires attention on the boards, so to say, because he crashes the board so hard. A lot of the times he'll tip the ball and a lot of times he'll tip the ball and Portland will get a rebound and Nasir doesn't get credited with that, but he helped Portland get the board. A lot of times Little will box out a lot better than Hazonia or Tolliver, and that'll help Portland rebound better, even though Little doesn't get the board. So you can't just look at his rebounds. But Pelicans game, he had 11 boards in limited minutes. I think he played like 20. I shouldn't say limited. I think he played like 20 to 30 minutes. I forget what his total was there. But 11 rebounds is good. 1 rebound tonight, but he crashes the boards hard. He's a lot better rebounder than Hazonia and Tolliver. Defensively, he's better than Hazonia and Tolliver. Offensively, he's better than Hazonia and Tolliver, which is something I didn't expect to be saying. But right now, just his cutting, his offensive rebounding threat, and even his three-point shot right now is all better than Tolliver and Hazonia. I have more confidence in Sir Little's three-point shot than either of those guys, which is crazy because Little was really struggling to start the season and he's not known as a shooter. But Little's also a threat with the ball in transition. More of a threat than definitely Tolliver and more of a threat than Mario Hazonia. Little is a solid NBA player right now. And he's 19 years old. And he deserves to play 25 to 30 minutes a game. And honestly, these minutes are going to help his development. Having Collins out is going to help Little long term. That's a silver lining with Collins' injury, is Little now gets minutes to fast track his development a bit. We did go out and sign Melo, but in my opinion, Little could play some small forward next to Melo. In my opinion, you could give Melo and Little 30 minutes a game each, because Little next to Melo at the forward spot, I think Melo's a good enough shooter where, even though he's a power forward, he shoots like a small forward would, so to say. Usually your small forward is the good shooter, but Melo and Little, you have to at least have one shooter at the forward positions. Melo's that shooter. The thing is, Nasir Little can knock down threes too. He's starting to knock down more threes. He's 3 for his last 4. So honestly, man, like if we upgraded the power forward spot, this is just speaking ahead. This is just me thinking out loud. With the way Bazemore's been playing, I'd play Little over Bazemore right now. Maybe play Little, give Little some of Bazemore's small forward minutes. Eric Brandt says, I'd say Gerald Wallace is his ceiling unless he pulls a Wes Matthews and greatly improves his three-point stroke. I think his ceiling might be a little bit above Gerald Wallace's. Because he looks better with the ball. Even as a rookie, Nasir Little looks better with the ball, putting the ball on the floor than Gerald Wallace ever did, in my opinion. Obviously, Gerald Wallace was a guy who had the intangibles, was elite in terms of, playing defense, in terms of rebounding, in terms of driving hard to the hole. But I think Nasir Little can be a better shooter and a little better with the ball in his hands once he hits his prime. Nasir Little is going to be good. That's the thing. I have a lot of optimism for the future. You know what I mean? This would be harder if we didn't have any young talent, and it is like now or never. Now or rebuild for the next 6-7 years. But we got some really good young talent, man. Nasir Little getting him 25th overall in the draft last year was a steal. This was a guy who, before his college season, he was projected to be a top 5 pick. He kind of got screwed over in college, got screwed over at North Carolina. Didn't really get the responsibility offensively he needed to develop in college to showcase his offensive skill set in college. Came off the bench. But they were saying in March, at the end of his college season, that he was the best player on that team. That team included Cameron Johnson. That team included, who else was there? Luke May. Luke May is a guy who's a great college player. And they were saying Nasir Little was the best player on that team. He just wasn't really showcasing it in games. That's a guy who's a top 5 pick. And right now he's showing why he was a top 5 potential pick. And a lot of it was okay, he's not going to be, even when he was projected as a top 5 pick, scouts and analysts were saying that he wasn't going to be ready to play right away his rookie season, that he was projected as a top 5 pick because of his long-term potential. Right now, he's helping a team. Right now, he's a little bit ahead of where scouts and analysts thought he'd be when these scouts and analysts were projecting him to be a top 5 pick. So, I'm super optimistic with Nasir Little. He's in a great situation. That's why me, Eric, and Damani, for those of you who tuned in to that draft live stream, we did a draft live stream. That's why we were so ecstatic to get him. So, having him, having Anthony, who struggled tonight, but I'm still really high on Anthony, having Collins, Nurkic is still young. We're gonna be fine. And if somehow this season goes completely awry, we had another really good young prospect. But I think we're going to be fine because we got soft schedule coming up. The thing is, it's kind of now or never, because this game was really the last hard game in terms of our schedule, and that's what I've been talking about lately. I'll go over the schedule again. I'll pull it up right now. On Saturday, we got the Cavs in Cleveland. We should win that game even if Dame doesn't come back. If we play like tonight, we're winning that game. Then 2 days after that, we got the Bulls in Chicago. That's a game we should win. The thing is, like, we've shown some more flashes, so I'm a little bit more optimistic about winning those 2 games than I would have been a week or 2 ago. Then we got the Thunder at home, Bulls at home. Then we go into December, Clippers on the road. That's tough. All right, so that's 4 games that we should win. Then Clippers on the road. That's a game we probably shouldn't win. But with Kawhi might be out. We might have a chance that game. I don't know if the Clippers are playing. Let me check to see if the Clippers are playing a back-to-back. Clippers aren't playing a back-to-back, so Kawhi should play. That's a game. So we got four games we should win. Then we got the Clippers. That's a game we shouldn't win. Then we got the Kings at home. That's a game we should win. Lakers at home, a game. It's going to be very, very tough, but you never know. Then Thunder at home again. That's a game we should win. Knicks at home. That's a game we should win. So that's out of our next 9 games, that's 7 that we will probably be the favorite in. 7 games we should win. If we take care of the games we should win and lose against the Clippers and Lakers, we're sitting at, let me do the math here, 12-13, 500. If we're sitting at 500, after December, we'll be completely fine. Because after the All-Star break, like, our schedule is pretty easy throughout the rest of the season. Lots of home games. The first 18 games, out of the first 18 games, we got 13 on the road, 5 at home. These last 2 road games after that, we have a very home-heavy schedule for the rest of the season. That's the thing. All right, like, we're sitting at 5-11, but some of the flashes that I've seen have me confident. Getting Dame healthy and rested has me confident. Hopefully we don't play him 39 minutes a game like we have been. CJ busting out of his slump. Scal looked great tonight. I'm optimistic. We're good. Like, this is as good of a feeling as I've had after a loss this season. Lakers usually have problems in Portland. That's true. Beef Blitz. Like, yeah, that's 7. You're probably not going to win all 7 games that we should win. You know, hell, we might lose to Cleveland next game. But we might win one of the games we shouldn't win. I'm just saying. So, I think there's probably the past couple seasons, I think there's been stretches where we've gone like 5-10, 5-9, 5-10, 5-11. We just started off that way against a very hard schedule, dealing with adversity. We got some positive developments. We got some positive storylines right now. So I'll answer your questions though. I'll answer your questions for sure. Let me know what you guys want me to talk about. Let me know what questions you guys have. Eric Brandt bragging about his picks. Still hasn't set his lineup for fantasy football because his team's already eliminated. As I said, every time he brings up me doing bad in terms of our over-under game, I'm going to bring up his fantasy football team since I know that kills him inside because I've never missed a playoffs. I'm the defending champ. Here, I'll even show you the standings. Let's see where we're at here. Look who's first. Look who's sitting at 9-2. Look who's last. Look who's last. Look who's first. That's how I'm going to discourage Eric Brandt from firing shots over me doing badly in our over-under thing. He'll just say something about fantasy. Yes, I will. I just did. There you go. Hey, I'm defending I'm responding to the shots you're firing at me. You're out here firing shots at me. And I gotta defend myself with fantasy football. Who do I think would be most ideal to give up for a possible trade for Blake Griffin, Torrey? 2 or 3 first-round picks. Eric Brandt, I fully admit it's not my year in fantasy football. At least in that league. Well, this league, we actually got some talented people. So I don't care about your soft little like pee-wee fantasy football league. Do I think CJ will continue his hot play? I do. I hope he continues to pass the ball like this. I'm going to calculate his assist average with tonight's game. Let me look this up. He might be getting over 4 assists a game right now, which is a lot for CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum's stats. Let's see how many assists he has on the season. Okay, he has 52 assists before this game, plus 10. That's 62 assists in 16 games. CJ McCollum's averaging 3.9 assists per game right now. Last season he had 3 assists per game. The season before 3.4. The season before 3.6. Right now he's at 3.9, which is a bit of an improvement. His field goal percentage before tonight was 42%. That's going to go up. He shot over 50% tonight. He was 5 for 10 from 3. His 3-point percentage was 36%. That should go up to like 37, 37.5. So his percentages after night, they're going to be about where they were last season. So CJ's playing well. Considering how poorly he shot to start the season, right now he's in a hot stretch. Thing is, we haven't had Damian Lillard. We haven't had both those guys playing well at the same time. We get both those guys playing well at the same time, we're going to have our best performances of the season. That's the Rodney Hood, too. Rodney Hood's been hot, but he's missed a couple games. He's had games like tonight where he only shot 5 shots, even though he made them all. We get those guys clicking at the same time, we're going to be a good team. We're going to be a lethal team. Rodney Hood's shooting around 50% from the field and 50% from 3. And then you got Carmelo in there. If Carmelo's hitting down, like, we got some things to look forward to, man. We got some things to look forward to. Teams moving the ball a little bit better. Now we just gotta defend better. Let me take this call again. I muted my mic, right? Or did you guys hear that call? Because I tried to mute my mic. If y'all heard my mic. Oh well, I'm not tripping. I'm gonna have to get off here soon. I'm gonna have to wrap this up. We'll have our podcast tomorrow. We'll talk more about this game. I'll have Eric Brandt in there for you guys. So make sure to tune into our podcast tomorrow. I'll be going live around 3:30 or 4 p.m. sometime around there. We don't got a game tomorrow night, so we'll talk about this Milwaukee Bucks game. We'll talk about some optimism moving forward. Heard every word. I thought I muted my mic. I gotta go. So got somebody waiting on me. But alrighty, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Good game tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. Even though they lost. Um, JK, bro. I mean, if I was muted, I didn't say anything bad at all. I just got about to go hang. So, yeah. What do I think of Melo's mid-post game? I hope he starts knocking down more of these shots. Because Melo's hitting threes. Just gotta, knock down more of these mid-range shots. He was 6 for 15. That's 40% from the field tonight. 3 for 5 from 3. That's 60%. But from 2, he was 2 for 9. So gotta knock down more of these 2-point shots if you're Melo. But Melo's gonna improve. Melo's gonna get a good feel. So he's still feeling out the offense. So I'm optimistic about Melo. I'm optimistic about this team. We're 5-11, but I think this game was a bit of a turning point. Even though it was a loss, it was a turning point into things that are more positive because of our schedule, because we should get Dame back soon. He'll be rested. CJ's busted to have a slump. Nasir Little's playing good. Carmelo's adjusting. Scalabissiere can turn this game into some more positive performances down the line. There's a lot to look forward to. I think we're going to have a lot more fun with this season in the next few games. I think that we've kind of hit rock bottom as a team, and now things will just go up from here. So anyway, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Make sure to tune into our podcast, and I'll see you guys later. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.